This is a public meeting of the Winchester Select Board. I serve as chair. I'm joined tonight by my colleagues, Richard Mucci, Michael Betancourt, Mariano Golyubov, and Amy Shapiro, who serves as vice chair. I believe our town manager will be joining us shortly. We do have a little bit of parliamentary procedure to get out of the way first, or we were going to with an appointment. I wanted to make a quick announcement for any of you who are residents living near the Woburn line, maybe off Forest Street, or are otherwise following the development at the old gelatin plant in Woburn. This new development is called the Vale, and the lead developer there, Leggett McCall Companies, has put up a website for people to get information, a public website for information on the Vale, and the URL is thevaleconstruction.com. The Vale Construction is all one word. And they're going to be holding a virtual community meeting on Wednesday night via Zoom. And if you go to that website, you can sign up for that community meeting. There'll be information about how the construction is going to proceed later in August, I believe, and in September and onwards. And you can also sign up for email updates on the construction. I see Lisa has joined us. Lisa, do you want to go ahead and do the one appointment that's on the agenda? And any other report that you have?
Sure. Just letting you know the Wi-Fi where I'm at is not very stable, so I'll probably have to turn off camera to keep the connection. But I just have one appointment, it's 3. To waive the 15-day waiting period.
So I move that we appoint or we waive the 15-day waiting period for Town Manager's Office Administrative Assistant 3, Catherine Harrington Mahone.
Second.
We need a roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. Excellent. So the main reason we're here tonight is to interview people who are interested in joining the task force on the Waterfield lot. We're very pleased that so many people are interested in this task force and the development there. Thank you all for volunteering, for sending in info, and for coming tonight to be interviewed or answer questions. I have to say at the outset that, of course, we can't appoint you all, and we're very grateful for your willingness to serve the town and for all you do for the town. So it's my understanding that Mr. Fortin was going to join us only for half an hour. And I was going to do that portion. Yeah, I was going to do that portion of the discussion and the interviews first. Then we have people here who are looking to join to represent the downtown business owners, people who would bring a background in real estate, and people who are interested in joining and serving as the resident at large. So this first segment would be for the people who are interested in representing the business community. And I believe those people are Artie Benos, Heidi DeLeo, and Patrick Fortin. So I would just open it up for if those people who are here can be elevated to speak. And if just going in alphabetical order, if Artie Benos is here, did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you would best reflect the perspective of the downtown business owners, please?
All right. Well, a little bit about myself. I grew up in Cambridge. I attended Tufts University, where I have a degree in civil engineering. I'm married, 2 children, both of whom attended Winchester schools. And I currently have 2 grandchildren now attending Winchester schools. I started my business in 1977. We opened up Sims Jewelers at the time when there was a plethora of empty stores in Winchester Center due to the fact that anchor stores had left to move to the Burlington Mall. I am passionate about retail. I am very concerned about the success of businesses in Winchester Center. As I said, I am also a past president of the New England Jewelers Association and served on the board of directors of Jewelers of America, representing more than 10,000 retail jewelry stores in the United States. And I am open to answer any questions that you would like to ask. And please, I'm willing to discuss anything you'd like to know.
So do any members of the select board have any questions for Mr. Benos?
Sure. So thank you, Mr. Benes, for volunteering. If you could tell us, like, what drove you to volunteer for this task force?
Well, as I said before, I am absolutely passionate about the success of retail business in Winchester Center. I'm very much concerned about the loss of 90 parking spaces. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's nothing more important to retail than parking. If you don't have areas for people to park, they're not going to come into your doors. And we have proved through over 43 years in Winchester, we have been successful. We understand the need of the retail community. We understand the ins and outs of the importance of parking. And I don't think there's anyone in the entire center that is more qualified and has more business experience than I do.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? So thank you, Mr. Benos.
Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it very, very much.
Moving on, the next person on my list is Heidi Rutstein DeLeo. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
Thanks
Thank
for joining
you.
us.
Thank you. Thanks for all your work and putting something like this together. I appreciate it.
So the same idea, you know, a little bit about yourself and your business and your experience, and then you know, how you would best reflect the perspective of the business owners in the town center.
Sure. So I think I bring an interesting and unique perspective from a business owner's point of view. I have started several businesses and I've worked in businesses from startups to Fortune 500 companies. So I understand small business, large business, and what it really takes to make it work. I do also understand how important it is to balance business needs with the needs of a community. I'm also a resident here and a consumer here, and hopefully a long-term resident here. And I would love it to be a place that attracts people to continue to walk and shop in the downtown area. So while I want to do everything I can to help businesses succeed, I realize that there needs to be a balance about what we do with the downtown Winchester area. And I think I've been an advocate for development in Winchester, bringing in commercial revenue for a long time. And I would really like to participate further in seeing any type of development that brings some type of revenue into Winchester. I think that's extremely important for us to survive. A little bit about myself. I've been in Winchester over 35 years. I raised my son in the schools. He graduated in 2020 and is now attending college. I've been a town meeting member since about 2009. I'm an active participant and member of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm a member and volunteer of the League of Women Voters. I also was on the Winchester High School Override Steering Committee in 2013. I've been active in the Winchester COVID Reopening Committee. I started years ago. I was the founder of the Winchester chapter of Start School Later, which advocated for later school start times based on circadian rhythms. And I've contributed to the Jenks Center. I've done work with Stanford Children from Massachusetts State Board. And I've also worked in many different types of campaigns of all political parties to help them navigate the road and be good at facilitating different points of view. I do feel like, because I am able to facilitate different points of view, that I would make a great addition to this task force. I think I'm known for bringing people to the center and negotiating calmly to come to a solution that compromises and benefits all. So I thank you very much for your time and open to any questions.
Right, thank you. So anyone on the board have anything to ask Heidi? I guess you told them everything they needed to know.
I'm like, nobody wants to know anything else about me? My favorite color? I don't know. Yeah. I know that there.
Yes, Rich. Looks like Rich
I mean,
has a
I
question.
mean, I don't want to speak for the other members, but you know, I mean, Heidi, Artie, and Pat are all familiar faces. They're very involved in the Winchester business community. They're all contribute in their own right. They're all great community members. So, you know, they're known by us. You know, Artie on the downtown planning committee at this point, and on the chamber board. Heidi, you know, very active in the reopening committee, and Patrick on the chamber board as well, and on the downtown zoning chamber zoning committee. So all three, you know, fantastic business representatives from the town. Unfortunately, you know, we can't keep all of them. So, you know, we're kind of talking to people that we're familiar with. So we appreciate you guys coming out tonight and telling us a little bit more about yourselves and why you want to serve on this committee.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Rich. I would give the floor to Patrick Fortin, who's also
Everybody,
applied. Hi.
hopefully, can you hear me? I think I unmuted it.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And Artie's a great friend of mine, so I didn't know he was going to be here, but it kind of, he's so passionate about the retail environment. Artie, I'm sorry that we're both nominated, actually, or both interested in this. I sent my resume, so I don't think I need to beat it to death. I've been president of the Chamber of Commerce twice, probably been a member for 30 plus years. I've owned real estate downtown for over 30 years and run a business in this town since 1985. Probably, you know, to go to Mario's question, why do you want to do it? Because I do have 4 high school kids and a lot of other things going on. I have a pretty good sized company. I started with 1 office with a couple people. I now have 34 offices, over 3 billion in sales volume. We do a lot of commercial work, a lot of leasing. We're primarily a residential brokerage company, but pretty actively involved. Of our 34 locations, we own 15 of them, so we own a decent amount of commercial real estate. We're in that arena. Related to this project, this town needs affordable housing, so I don't think this is an affordable housing debate. I think anyone I know is in favor of that. I think it's just the right project at the right number, and is the town getting what they need out of it? I think I can bring a perspective that hopefully helps the town make a better choice and make people feel better about it. Obviously, the recent vote shows that there's some sort of disagreement on what the right answer is. And I don't want to pretend I have all the answers, because you know, I definitely don't. You guys spend a lot more time at this than I do. But I've been involved in lots of committees in town. I've probably interacted with Mike on multiple projects. Hopefully, Mike, you're not voting against me because of that. But I think I'm pretty practical and don't really get too worked up about stuff. I mean, this is a great town with a lot of potential, and I just hope I can add some value to make it better and maybe improve this project. Maybe not. I don't really know, but spend some time to hopefully figure out we have the right answer that benefits the town, the whole population, but at the same time makes this center a better place in the big picture. Happy to answer questions if needed.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone have any questions? It's okay if you don't. I just give you the chance.
I think this is Amy. I think for me, for all three candidates,
Amy, I think you might be frozen.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
My question is really around, this specific position on the task force is about kind of understanding the business community's opinions and thoughts on this project. So I guess my question would be for each of them, how will they kind of garner that and understand, big picture, because they can't understand.
We've lost you, Amy. Amy, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike, I'll try to make it quick. So my question really is about how each of these individuals, having such experience in the business community in Winchester, how will they bring about that the larger business community and bring that sort of thought, those people's thoughts to the table through the task force to make sure that those points of view are being considered.
Okay.
Get all that?
Yes, I think we got that how they would bring other people's perspectives and opinions throughout the downtown area, how they would bring that to the table. So I would ask Artie what you would propose for that question.
Winchester is blessed with a large amount of minorities owning businesses in this town. We have immigrants that are working 2 jobs to support their families. Minority businesses that are not computer literate. We have businesses that don't even have computers. None of these people were approached in writing by anyone concerning this project. And the reason that this vote was so close is because you have hundreds of people working in the center who were not allowed to vote. They were unheard. That is un-American. And these are the people that I want to bring in on discussions, the people that work hard, the people that are working 2 jobs, minorities who own business, who were never heard, were never asked, were never concerned, were not even approached about this project. These are the people that I want to bring into the fold. And I am very passionate about the fact that all of these people were never consulted about this project. I apologize for being so passionate about it, but that's just the way I feel. Thank you.
And Heidi.
Thank you. So I have, since I purchased Sweet Surprise in 2019, one of the things that I have felt a lack of is a sense of business community, so to speak. People don't walk around to each other's businesses that often. We don't seem to communicate um, without the chamber very well. Um, and I think some people don't want to voice their opinions sometimes because they are afraid to be heard. One of the things that I started doing pretty quickly was walking around to the businesses and introducing myself if they didn't know me and asking them what's important to them in downtown and how we could work together as businesses to make it a center that we all wanted. And very interesting. So I got a lot of positive feedback, but 2 years later, I don't see much of that action. There has been a lot of issue with the parking, specifically on Thompson Street where my store is. I, at one point, walked around to every business on Thompson Street and spoke to them about their feelings and what they felt they needed in order to survive having a business in downtown, never mind the pandemic, which is a whole other ballgame. So I agree with Artie. I mean, parking is paramount and it's been an issue my whole life, as far as I can remember. And I think we need to really think of some creative ways to address it. And I also agree with Artie is that it seems like there are businesses that are forgotten or they don't speak up because they're not that type of personality. And we could be a voice for them and bring that to the table. Yeah, there are a lot of women-owned businesses down there as well. I mean, I'm a single female Jewish mother, it's like, and then I look around and it seems like every time I turn around, there's another like woman-run business. I think it would just behoove us to all come to the table and talk about what's not just best for us as a retail community, but what will make the town happy as well. Because if the community is not happy about what happens downtown, we're not going to have business anyway. So I think we have to address all those things. And I think that I can walk the walk and talk the talk. And I want people at the table to resolve things.
Okay, thanks. And Pat.
Hi, I mean, I've had a deep connection to the town since 1985, and I could rattle through the chamber stuff, but the chamber is 300 plus members. Every business, every avenue, service-based businesses, home-based businesses, some downtown, some not, scattered around Winchester. I've been on the board of directors for probably 20 years, give or take. And that is consensus building. That's understanding multiple sort of angles on what's important, what's not. Parking is obviously a major point for downtown, especially the retail community. But it is a combination of all those things. I would at least like to think that I'd bring a level head that has a global perspective of the big picture of what integrates the town, the downtown, and how all these pieces work. Because any sort of development like this is going to have impacts that's not going to be perfect for everybody. And it's finding a way to find the balance in that gets as much as what you can get for everybody. And I feel like I have enough a connection to the downtown and to whether it's retail, whether it's service, whether it's working out of their house on the west side of town, to create an environment where that perspective is heard and hopefully logically discussed to come to some compromise and some solution. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I think at this point, we're just going to go ahead and entertain nominations and vote on this one. So does anyone have a nomination among the three candidates here?
Yeah, I can nominate Pat Fortin. I think, as Pat mentioned, I'd worked with him in the past on a couple projects. He helped us with the plastic bag ban project quite a bit in kind of facilitating the town center conversation with multiple businesses, which was great. And I think his experience is unique, but certainly I have deep respect for the other candidates as well, Heidi and Artie as well. I mean, have both been very, very engaged. So, but I would put Pat forward to as a nomination.
I'd like to nominate Heidi DeLeo. I think all three candidates. I thank them for volunteering, and we have a great choice of the three. I think it's very. I think Heidi recently opened a retail business, or a few years ago opened a retail business in the town center, and I think it's very important that we have representation from somebody who has a storefront with retail in the town center, and somebody who's also taking care of going and talking to every single business. I know that Heidi has done that, that has gone and walked the town center and talked to every business owner that she could find there. So I think she would be, and as she said during her statement, that the reason that she's volunteering is to bring people together and to compromise, and that's what's going to be very important for this task force, is to find a way to compromise, because there's going to be a lot of different points of view. And I think that I've worked with Heidi and other things that she served on, and I think that she can bring that.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, so since this is a remote meeting, we have to have a roll call vote. So I guess I'm going to go in the order of the nominations. And I'm going to start, call the vote for Patrick Fortin. Mike?
Yes.
Mariano?
No.
Rich?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Chair's going to vote no. But we have 3 yeses. So Patrick is elected. I guess that's how I'm going to run this.
Is there no discussion? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good
the
point.
3 yeses, was this discussed before this meeting?
No,
'Cause
no,
I'm
no.
surprised that there was no
I don't
discussion.
know. I don't know. I guess we should have had a discussion before.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to discuss it. I mean, I can explain my rationale. I mean, 3 great candidates, like I said, 3 great people that do a lot for the community and in the retail and business community of Winchester. I mean, I work with all of them and know them well. My rationale is this. With this committee, the one thing that I want to try to do is strive for independence and strive for no one to be able to question the integrity of on any side of this. The last thing I want to do is people to question that the deck was stacked one way or the other. So I know Artie is passionate about this issue, came out with a video, was involved in the No campaign. And I know Heidi had some public posts on Facebook and social media supporting the Yes campaign. And so, if I have to decide on this, I'm going to err on that and just say, I'd put somebody on the committee that wasn't, passionately one way or the other, where, the other side could point to and question the integrity of the committee. So, if I have to make a decision, that's, unfortunately, the way I'm going to do it.
Can I respond to that, please?
Wait, I have to apologize. Very bad move as a chair. I had tried to think through how this was going to work. And I think what I need to do is I need to ask for a motion to strike the previous vote. And we will go back to the 2 nominations that we have. I will close the nominations will be closed, and we will have a discussion of the candidates. I just skipped the whole deliberation part of it, and I apologize. So can I have a motion to strike the vote?
So, going forward,
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk through the process?
Yes. The process will be that I will open the nominations. Nominations will be made. When there are no more nominations, the nominations will be closed. Then we will have a discussion. Then I will call a vote. And I will go in the order of the nominations made. And if the first candidate wins, then that candidate will be appointed.
Okay. I'm just thinking through this. All right, I move that we strike the previous vote to allow for discussion, and follow the chair's suggested procedure going forward.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Yes.
Mariano,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. All right. So we have two nominations for the business owners rep. And the two nominations are Patrick Fortin and Heidi DeLeo. If anyone has anything further to say about their choices or their nominees, I would encourage you to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak. This is Amy. I can speak briefly. I think for me, the most important thing about this committee, as Rich mentioned, is impartiality. And I think that in my mind, it's better to err on the side of impartiality than anything else, because we know how heated this has been, and we know where people stand, and we know how ugly it's been. And I want going forward for this not to be that way anymore. So for me, I voted for Patrick Fortin because I think that he brings an impartiality to this discussion. And I think his experience on the chamber for so many years as president as well, and his knowledge of.
Oh, we lost you.
Environment, I think, in Winchester is important.
Mike, any comments?
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, I think the board strategy with having both the yes and no campaigns put forward a candidate that I assume that whoever their candidate is, we're going to approve really without much discussion. I think those groups can select who they want as representatives. So I think getting opinions from folks that otherwise weren't really involved, aggressively in that piece. Now, certainly, I think both Heidi and Artie will be involved in the public conversation about this, so I don't feel like in a sense we lose their advocacy. I think we just gain a participant in the process that's walking in with clear eyes and open mind. So and as I mentioned before, I have worked with Pat in the past, and have respect for his work and his ability to really find compromise.
So I just want to say that I don't agree with the previous statement that Heidi was aggressively on either side of this. I think that's inappropriate, and I hope that somebody will apologize to Ms. DeLeo, because she was not aggressive in this campaign at all. And anyway, I think that we should have somebody who has a retail outlet in the town center, and that's why and somebody who can bring people together. And I think that that's what Ms. DeLeo. I think Mr. Fortin can bring people together. I think Ms. DeLeo matches both of the things that I think is important, which is to both bring people together as well as have a retail store.
Can I reply?
Heidi, I don't think that's a good idea, actually. I'm going to just weigh in and say that I agree with Mike that both Artie and Heidi will continue to play a role in the downtown and in this development, and will be involved. And I also want to just say that it's hard for someone to be involved in the downtown and be the kind of business owner who does go out and talk to other business owners and try to get things done and not have opinions, and to be totally aloof. I think that Heidi did try to understand both positions in the campaign and try to understand the financial aspects in particular. And that you know, I've known her for many years, and she is always a skeptic about things. I don't think she was aggressively, quote unquote, involved in any campaign. I think she was just trying to make the right decision and find out as much as she could and participate in the debate. So I think that remark was kind of unfair and probably inaccurate. I don't remember a lot of commentary from Heidi DeLeo. So I would apologize to Heidi for that. Is there any further debate?
Susan, if I use the word aggressively, I don't recall using that, but if I did, I certainly did.
You didn't, Rich.
Well, I if I did, I didn't mean to.
You didn't,
Oh,
Amy.
okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, was it me? I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. I don't remember saying that. Did I say Heidi did? I don't.
Maybe I misheard.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I apologize.
I think I said generally, I think, you know, candidates being in for the position being, I was wondering who it was. I don't remember saying that, but anybody that's aggressively involved. But yeah, I would say, you know, actively involved in the campaign either way is not ideal for these positions. I mean, I don't want to, you know, have this evening be going. I mean, I'm not really sure of the format that we're doing here, just kind of rolling, you know, kind of comments and questions of other members' comments. I mean, you know, I know Heidi for a long time. I have great love and deep respect for her. You know, I don't want to turn this into a circus because we've got work to do, but I'm still not really sure. So what is pretty typical of our appointments for any of these committees is we'll have a short statement from candidates and we vote like we initially did, we do on them. So, you know, we're changing this a little bit, but I don't want it to get too off the rails because we still have a lot of work to get done. So
yeah.
Again, I apologize if I said that.
I mean, we usually have some discussion. Otherwise, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how
missed it.
otherwise I don't know
apologize.
how the public would be informed that we're actually discussing and that the discussion didn't happen behind closed doors before the meeting, right? That's what we want to make sure is that the discussion happens in open meeting and that there's no appearance to the public that these decisions were made before we came to this meeting.
But I think we all made comments on our decisions. So I think that that's good. I don't think that our discussion should be going back and forth, questioning each other's reasoning is my point.
All right. And I apologize for just skipping the deliberation phase. Totally my fault. So I will call a vote. We're going to vote in the order that people are nominated. So I would call the vote on Patrick Fortin. Mike.
Yes.
Mariano.
Yes.
I mean, I think he'll do fine in the task force, but I will vote no because I would like to see Heidi DeLeo in it.
Rich.
I vote yes for Patrick.
Amy.
Yes.
I'm going to change my vote and vote yes for Patrick, because I think the perception of this committee is also important. So Patrick is elected. So I wanted to turn now to the folks who have a background in real estate. We had asked for someone with a background in multi-unit residential real estate or multi-unit affordable residential real estate. At this point, at one point, we didn't know that we had anyone with that background specifically, and Chris Galetta, who had volunteered for the Affordable Housing Trust. I had only a chance to meet him on last week, and it appeared that he had that same background, and we didn't have anyone. And so I asked him if he would be interested in volunteering for the task force, and he said he was. So he's here. We've got his resume, and he's here tonight to be interviewed. If Chris could be elevated, he'd be able to speak.
He is.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to meet and speak with you tonight. As Susan mentioned, I do have a professional background in real estate finance. I am a partner with a Boston-based real estate private equity firm. A 20-year history of investing on behalf of pension funds, university endowments, family offices, and the like in real estate and real estate development projects. A large part of what we do in my history has been investing through joint venture partnerships with local and generally family-owned real estate developers and real estate operators to execute on real estate investments, often development. So I bring a background and understanding of the real estate development and real estate finance process. I am a resident of town, have been a homeowner here for about 8 years with students in the school system. While I wasn't fortunate enough to grow up in Winchester, I grew up next door in Woburn, but went to St. Mary's School for my elementary years. My mother is a teacher there and has been for 40 years, so I consider Winchester my adopted home and current home. So I do bring a level of familiarity with the town, even though my residence here is only relatively short in comparison to some. I do not have or did not take a vocal position in this process leading up to the vote. I watched from afar and educated myself through the process, but don't have a stake or particularly strong viewpoint on various aspects of the project. But I think that my professional experience and background leaves me well suited to help with the exact kind of balancing and consensus building that I've heard a lot of folks talk about tonight. The real estate development process is inherently about trade-offs and balancing of interests, and that's something that I've done throughout my career and a skill set that I think I can bring to this task force process and hopefully add some value to what can be a very good and positive project for this town if done correctly.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for volunteering for this and coming. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Chris Galetta?
Hi, Chris. This is Amy Shapiro. Just a quick question on your experience through your professional world on affordable housing. Have you had any experience with that, or particularly in the real estate finance piece of your position? Would just love to hear any experience you have there.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Amy. I would not say that a large part of what I've done is direct affordable housing investment. As part of a number of the investments that we've made over the years, I have acquired and deed restricted some projects as affordable housing in lieu of various affordable requirements. I did those in Los Angeles and Aspen, so not locally. I do have a general working knowledge of 40B and a high level knowledge of Massachusetts affordable housing programs, but I would not hold myself out as an expert in the affordable housing arena.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I guess that's covered. So are there any other, well, I guess I would call for nominees. And it sounds, it's looking like Mr. Galetta is the only one, but are there any nominations?
I just had a question, Susan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw that there was a late addition of Bill Cummings to the list, and I don't know what that was. It only came in late this afternoon, so I don't know if he missed the deadline or what happened. But I mean, it seems like this would be an appropriate place for that discussion as well. It seems like he would be relevant for this role rather than kind of taking up another position on a small committee.
Yeah, so Mike, I can speak to that a little bit, Susan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rich and I had some emails back and forth and didn't quite understand what Rich was expecting or what was going to be happening. So go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, I emailed Susan and Lisa and explained that I'd be nominating Bill Cummings to the board. At the time, I didn't realize we needed to nominate people for specific positions because Bill would fit a couple of different roles on this committee. So to the point where he fits this role, I would nominate Bill Cummings. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for this town to have Bill, willing to serve on this committee. I did not notify him that he needed to be here tonight because I didn't know that there were interviews. But certainly, I think, I'm happy to fill in some information about Bill for the community and for the fellow select board members if you aren't familiar with Bill and his work. But I think he'd be a tremendous asset and certainly has, if we're looking for a general real estate background, I'd certainly consider him an expert. If we're not, specifically looking for someone with affordable housing expertise, which it doesn't appear like we have anybody who's volunteered for the committee with that. So obviously Bill Cummings is the founder of Cummings Property. He's lived in Winchester for over 50 years. He grew up in a one-bedroom flat in Medford. His father was a house painter. He paid for himself to go through Tufts University, went to a few sales positions, and then 1970s started Cummings Property with one commercial property. Since that time, the business has grown to 11 million square feet and a $2 billion portfolio. It's one of the most financially recognized solid real estate firms in the country. Mr. Cummings has bought, built, or rebuilt more than 100 pieces of real estate in the area. He typically gravitates towards properties that have zero curb appeal, but potential. In his recent memoir, he wrote that we have our own niche, which often includes buying underutilized land with grossly neglected buildings. Bill's vision has always been to create places where businesses could grow and prosper and for supporting the organizations that contribute to the vibrancy of a community. These days, Bill spends the majority of his time on his philanthropic endeavors. In 1986, Bill and his wife Joyce established the Cummings Foundation, which has grown to be one of the 3 largest private foundations in New England. They were the first Massachusetts couple to join the Giving Pledge, which is an international philanthropic organization founded by Bill and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett. In keeping with this sense of community, the majority of the Cummings Properties buildings were donated many years ago to the Cummings Foundation by Bill and Joyce Cummings. These buildings are operated for the sole benefit of the foundation, which has awarded more than 300 million grants to local area nonprofits, including many in Winchester. The Cummings Foundation's 100,000 for 100 program typically includes a diverse group of grant recipients representing a wide variety of causes, including homelessness prevention, affordable housing, education, violence prevention, and food insecurity. In addition, the Cummings Foundation has launched a sustaining grants program Through these awards, 50 local nonprofits will receive ongoing funding of $20,000 to $50,000 for 10 years. In 2019, Bill Cummings was recognized by the New England Real Estate Journal with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Locally, Bill has served on the Winchester Planning Board in the 1970s. I cannot think of any resident of Winchester with more lease, business, and real estate development experience than Bill Cummings. His generosity speaks to his high integrity and character, and I think he'd be a perfect candidate for this committee. Perfect candidate to assess the project and help unify this town. I think we're very fortunate and lucky that he's willing to serve on this committee, and I would put forth his nomination for this role on the task force. Thank you.
Rich, can I just ask you a question? And that would be, you know, have you talked to Bill, and is he willing to do all these meetings and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so my understanding, he was away a couple weeks ago, but he's back in town and certainly understands the commitment and is willing to serve.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have a question on this nomination? Seeing none, thank you. So we have two nominations, I guess, Mr. Cummings and,
Oh, did somebody nominate Mr. Galetta?
Actually, thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'd like to nominate Mr. Galetta. I'm sure Mr. Cummins would be great, but I think, you know, everybody else submitted their interest by the process that we set up, right? We publicly announced it. They sent emails to the town manager. They submitted their resumes. So I think that given that Mr. Galetta did that, I think he should be appointed, given that this task force is going to require somebody to attend meetings, to follow through on commitments. So I don't think it's fair to all the other people who applied to appoint somebody who wasn't able to follow through the process that we set up for applying, regardless of what their qualifications are. So I nominate Mr. Galetta.
Yeah, and Susan, just on that,
Yeah.
you know, I received an email from Mr. Cummings, and I, you know, understand the process in our last meeting was that we were to put forth names if we had them. So I put forth his name in the spirit of our last discussion at our last meeting. I wasn't going to ask Mr. Cummings for a resume. I just didn't feel like that was appropriate. So if that's, you know, fault, that would lie with me in doing that. I went to Mr. Cummings because after the vote, I thought, you know, who in the town has the most experiences with lease and real estate, and, you know, thought of his name, and, you know, we're fortunate that he's willing to help the town out.
And I would say, you know, yes, we did try to put this together very quickly, and communication was not perfect, and I apologize for that. So we have two nominations, Mr. Galetta.
Susan, I disagree with that. I don't think you are at fault at all. Everybody else was able to get the communications and was able to apply without an issue. So I don't think this is your fault at all. The communication was very clear. It went out on our website. It went out through social media. So I wouldn't say you should apologize for anything here.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to call a vote on the first nomination, which was Mr. Galetta.
Well, should we talk about it again? Like, we're going out of order, I feel like. Should we talk about this?
Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm sorry.
Look,
yes, we should have some deliberation. I'm sorry.
My point of view on this is that Mr. Galetta sounds amazing, and thank you so much for doing this. And obviously, Mr. Cummings is a wonderful asset to this town in so many different ways. Both sound like they have wonderful experience in real estate. I think that, you know, all things being even, I think Mr. Cummings, because of his commitment and his time here and his you know, certainly his financial commitment, but also his commitment to this town and his willingness to do this. I think he's such an amazing resource for this town. So I think we're in a, I mean, they always say, it's like we have two amazing options. And this is nothing against Mr. Galetta, but I think if Mr. Cummings is available to do this and willing to support the town in this way, I think that I support his nomination.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess, I would agree. I mean, we're in the fortunate position to have two all-stars, Mr. Galetta, Mr. Cummings. And I know how much Mr. Cummings has done for the community, especially as a board member of the Network for Social Justice, where he's been very active and very humble, I will say as well. And it's something that I think is necessary for this part of the process that we're in, as well as the requisite real estate expertise. So I'm, heartened that Mr. Galetta, with his high skill level, is also applying to the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust. We need that expertise there on an ongoing basis, because we're going to have a lot of irons in the fire over the next couple of years on moving forward some projects, and we don't have that ongoing expertise there. So I guess selfishly, I'd like to, hopefully we can move forward Mr. Galetta's application on the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust and keep him, around on there, and see how much we can draw out of him over a long period of time. And maybe this is more appropriate for Mr. Cummings, for a shorter term stint. So I would support Cummings here, but certainly want to extend my appreciation and deep respect for Mr. Galetta. His reputation certainly precedes him as a real heavyweight in this venue. So thank you.
Mariano, Rich, anyone else?
I would just, echo those sentiments. There's certainly, there's a lot of opportunity to serve in this town, and it's great that we have all these candidates who come forward. One area that, I know we're trying to fill positions on is the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, certainly, check out the town website. There's certainly other opportunities out there as well, to serve our town. And certainly people have a lot of background that I've heard tonight that, could fill other positions. That would be fantastic.
Well, I would only like to contribute that when I sat down with Chris Galetta last week, he said he would just be willing to help in any way that he can on this. And it's wonderful to have that kind of attitude, and wonderful to have that new talent, new expertise, getting involved in the Affordable Housing Trust, and that will be a key role, as Mike said, as we move forward on a long-term basis. So. Again, I agree. This is a very difficult choice, and we have kind of an embarrassment of riches here with both of these candidates.
So we usually have a process where we have people who we appoint, like submit resumes or letters of interest, come for interviews. Are we just bypassing the process here just to appoint somebody who didn't apply? Then it doesn't look good for this board.
Mariano, when we had our meeting last time, and you can go back and check the meeting, particularly around the 2-hour mark, it was decided that we would, board members could put forth names to nominate for this committee. So on July 14th, I emailed Susan, putting forth Bill Cummings' name after I spoke. I did the same thing on the 15th, and I did the same thing last week. Why he didn't make the list, I'm not sure.
That was what we originally were talking about, and then we decided not to, and we decided to set up this other process where people would have to email the town manager, and we would post it publicly, and then people would submit their information and have an interview. It just seems it's not a good look for the board to just have somebody come in, regardless of their credentials. And I'm sure Mr. Cummings' credentials are fantastic. I just haven't seen them because nothing has been submitted. I'm sure they're fantastic, and I'm sure he has contributed a ton to the community, but it's not a good look for this board that we set up a process and then we're letting somebody in through the back door. So that's my view. I think anyway, that's my statement.
Yeah, I mean, if that's, if I misconstrued our meeting last week, and again, I'd go back and look at the 2-hour mark, then, you know, then that's my fault. I didn't realize, you know, that we needed to do more than that than just put forth their names to Lisa and Susan. So,
Well, we did talk about a lot of things, and it was left kind of loose at the 2-hour mark when we were talking about the at-large position, and that's what you initially wrote to me about Mr. Cummings being qualified for, or being willing to do, and that's what I interpreted the way things had been left, that we were going to put forth his name for that at-large position. But again, we're trying to do this quickly. We're trying to have a good task force, and we're also trying to run a good public process, Mariano's point, and have people come in and talk to us, and to vote on, discuss this, and to vote in a public meeting.
So can I ask a question? So this is
Yeah.
the task force that we developed this sort of parameters around this task force. Is there any reason why we can't have Mr. Galetta and Mr. Cummings join the task force? They're both wonderful candidates. They both want to support the town. Is there any reason we can't do that?
I mean, it's our task force. We did vote a particular charge with one position for someone with real estate expertise. We could vote to amend the charge and have 2 people with real estate expertise. We could do that.
We would also have to amend and say that people don't have to apply for it, and that then we can just nominate people without any applications, right? Because we specifically said that people had to write into the town manager with their resume, and we posted it publicly, right? I mean,
Yeah, we said that about.
there's a you know, we are a local government here. We have to follow certain rules, and it seems like we're not following them. But
Mariano, again, go back to the 2-hour mark of our last meeting.
no, that was part of the discussion. Go back to when we established the rules. That might have been at the 3-hour mark. At the 2-hour mark, we might have been discussing something else. But we established certain rules. Everybody else knew the rules. And we just want to slide somebody in who didn't show up to the interview, who didn't submit a resume. It looks really bad.
There's
It
a lot.
looks, it looks like things are being done behind closed doors.
Okay, all right. I'm going on mute. I don't want to say anything.
But Mariano,
okay.
but Susan, did you tell Rich that have Mr. Cummings? I mean, you guys conversed.
Yes, we did converse by email.
So,
And I thought the way we had left it was that for the at-large position, we would not have people apply because we thought that there would be too many. And then we decided we needed to have a posting and to have people apply for the business owners and for the someone with real estate expertise. But what went up was the entire charge, which included the at-large position. And people wrote in saying that they wanted to volunteer for the at-large position. So the process was not good. The process was not perfect. The communication was not good. Part of that was my fault, trying to juggle too many things. So I think in the interest of getting to a decision tonight, and in the interest of having some charity towards each other, I'm just going to go ahead, and we're not going to change the committee. We're just going to vote, and we're going to have one person as the person on the committee with a real estate expertise. And I know that whoever is not elected and chosen for this role will continue to contribute in a lot of ways to this process and to affordable housing in Winchester and to the downtown in Winchester. So
To that point, I mean, is there a way, if they aren't choosing for the real estate, can we then put them in the pool for the at-large? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just trying to think out loud here and think outside the box, which we have not.
thank you. I appreciate that. I tried to do that myself. It can be tricky. I think we should just stick with the process that we have and not allow people to be in multiple roles, but not to apply for multiple positions. This is just a task force, and I'm trying to not make it not make things more difficult than we have to. And I hope everyone will just have some charity and indulgence with us forming this task force, which needed to be done quickly, and we needed to do it in a fair way. I'm going to go ahead and call a vote on the first nomination, which articulately was a nomination, which was for Mr. Galetta. We have to do a roll call vote. I'm going to call on Mike.
No.
Mariano.
Yes.
Rich.
No.
Amy.
No.
I guess I will join and say no, because again, I'm just trying to have the best team here, and perception is important too. And I'm going to thank Mr. Galetta, and I'll hope to see you on August 2nd, and consider your appointment to the Affordable Housing Trust. So thank you. And
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on mute, but thank you for the opportunity. Bill Cummings is an icon of the real estate community. So you have made a perfectly good choice who will be an important part of that process. I look forward to talking to you all next week in the context of the Affordable Housing Trust. So look forward to hopefully finding a way to work together with you all and to help the town move forward. So thank you again for your time.
thank you. I think we should have a vote on Mr. Cummings, just to be clear. So I'm going to call the roll call on Mr. Cummings. Mike.
Yes.
Mariano.
I don't have any information. I don't have a letter of interest or a resume or anything. So I don't know what this nomination is. So I'm just going to abstain unless we vote in the future. Maybe we should vote at our next meeting on this, but otherwise I'm just abstaining as there's nothing in front of me in the packet.
Okay. Rich.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
I have to abstain as well, but I acknowledge it's partly my fault. So, Mr. Cummings, I'm sure will make a fine and very valuable addition to the task force, and I'm very grateful to have him. So now I want to turn to the residents at large. I think there are a large number of people who might still be here for that one. Again, this is someone who would bring a perspective to reflect the community as a whole. We've got a number of people who have signed up. Anthony Conti, David Coughlin, Bill Cummings, I had written down because Rich originally nominated him for that. I'll take that out. Soumya Ganapathy and David Miller. So we have 4 candidates: Anthony Conti, David Coughlin, Soumya Ganapathy, and David Miller. So if they could be elevated and we could just
Everyone is.
check in with them. Good, thank you. So Mr. Conti, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the perspective you would bring to the task force to reflect the community at large?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm a 32-year resident of Winchester and have served town meeting for 31 years. Prior to moving to Winchester, I served for 10 years as a city council in the city of Revere, where I was very instrumental in facilitating the early stages of the vast condominium development that took place in Revere Beach over the last few decades. Subsequently, I also served as the regional solicitor for the U.S. Department of the Interior, where my principal clients were the National Park Service and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, where I was very heavily involved in land acquisition. I have a good background in real estate law. I have also served, in addition to serving the town meeting, I've been chairman of the Government Regulations Committee for town meeting for over 20 years. My daughter is a graduate of Winchester Public School. I have been very involved in town meetings for many years. I have a pretty good knowledge of town operations and participated in town meetings all these decades. And I'm very interested in seeing that the town gets the best deal possible for this valuable piece of property. I'm very cognizant of the town's free cash balance position and how important this property could be to helping to maintain that free cash balance. I'm very much in favor of affordable housing, but I believe that it has to be done in a manner that is fair to the value that the town has in that valuable piece of property. I also believe that the local business community will be affected by the development, particularly because of the issue of parking. So I'm interested in doing what we can to maintain a healthy environment for local downtown businesses. And in any case, and I believe also that we need to have a competitive process that will give the town the best opportunity to come up with the best deal that is fair for all concerned, particularly residents and local businesses. And I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Conti. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Mr. Conti? Amy? Mark? Mariano, anyone? No? It's okay if you don't. I'm just checking. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Conti. Next in alphabetical order would be David Coughlin. Mr. Coughlin, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what perspective you would bring to the task force to reflect the community as a whole?
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I originally thought I would put my name in as a potential real estate representative, but I do not have specific affordable housing experience, so I felt it would be more appropriate to pursue an at-large position. I do have a great deal of real estate development, investment, and finance experience. I've worked in the business for basically my entire career, starting in 1980. I just recently retired from a firm which owns a large amount of property in Boston on Newbury Street, Cambridge Street. So I've been involved in development of complicated sites for a long time. And while there hasn't been specific affordable housing, they weren't 40B projects or affordable projects. They typically we've had to deal with some level of affordability, either through contributions to the affordability fund in Boston or a project in Newton that I was just working on before I retired that is going to end up being, I think, 18% affordable units. So I'm very familiar with the real estate development process. I understand how difficult it is. So I think one of the perspectives I would bring to the table here is there was a lot of misinformation that was put out during the run-up to this. I did take a position in favor of having something done there. But mainly, I tried to correct some of the misinformation that was going around about the billions of dollars the developer was going to make, and the fact that it was a land lease and people didn't understand that it was a land lease. I tried to correct some misperceptions there. So I think that's what I would bring to the table. It's important that this project, in some fashion, gets completed. Something has to happen on that site. It can't have nothing happen. And I'm understanding that there's a lot of different voices in the community in favor of it, against it, et cetera. My goal would be just to try to educate as many as people as possible about the realities of what it takes to get a project like this done. I mean, frankly, I'm really concerned about getting the developer back to the table, or opening it up to a new group of developers after we've already gone through a competitive bid process. I think the town has almost shot itself in the foot, because I as a former developer myself, I would look at this opportunity, quote unquote, and say, you know what, I'm going to pass, because I'm not going to go through all this just to have it then shot down at the last minute the way it was here.
Okay.
So that's my goal, to have something happen here. And have it be the best project for the town possible.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Coughlin? Anyone on the board? It seems not. So thank you, Mr. Coughlin. I'm going to move now down to Tasumya Ganapathy. I hope I'm pronouncing that close to correctly. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been a Winchester resident since 2014, and I truly love the downtown area. It's very vibrant. It's very walkable. I love the local businesses there as well. And I think one thing I could bring to the committee is I've known people on both sides of the issue, people that were against this project and also people that were for the project. And I could bring perspectives from both sides as a community member at large. I don't have real estate experience, but I work in a hospital as an emergency physician, and I'm able to get different perspectives from different people to help make the best decisions possible. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you for joining us and for volunteering. Anyone on the board have any questions for Dr. Ganapathy? I don't see anybody raising their hand. So thank you. And then in alphabetical order, it brings us to David Miller.
Good evening, everyone. David Miller, living on Ridge Street, been a resident of Winchester for about 6 years. In terms of my current involvement in Winchester, I'm a member of the Right Lock Farm Conservancy. I'm on the Conservation Commission, and I am the Conservation Commission's representative on the Housing Partnership Board. From a professional perspective, I've been retired about a year now, but I was involved with the founding and development of 5 biotechnology companies. In my most recent position, I was Senior Vice President of Operations, where among my responsibilities was real estate, and I negotiated 5 commercial real estate licenses and built out a number of biotech spaces. I'm interested in this position because it strikes me as ultimately the decision will be foundational to how our town moves forward at the other side of the decision. I feel that housing and affordable housing in particular are a critical issue. The entry point for the town into discussion really has to be that we are far from where we need to be per the state mandate, and we need to work our way through that particular issue. This is the opportunity at present to confront a number of elements around that. Um, I feel that how we do that will be critical to the outcome, and I view it as a problem that will be, really quite critical to solve. And I look forward to applying my experience and skill set and working to the betterment of Winchester to helping get that done.
Thank you, David. Anyone have any questions for David Miller? Mariano, Mike, Rich, anyone?
Right now, thank you.
I don't have any questions. I have a nomination. I think we are, we have so many excellent candidates. If we were to expand the the task force to 7, I think we could, or even 9, given on the previous interviews, I think we would have enough candidates, very, very qualified candidates. I would like to nominate Dr. Ganapathy for the at-large position. I think she brings a different background to the task force that is very much needed. She brings the background of a resident, of somebody who has a high stress position at work, and somebody who's able to navigate uncertainty, as well as very stressful positions as an ER doctor. So anyway, I think she would do a fantastic job at being able to look at all the different opinions and bring a recommendation for us. And let's remember that in the end, the actual real estate negotiation is down to this board and our legal counsel that we will hire, right? So these are recommendations on what the community thinks. And so I think that having the different background than that Dr. Ganapathy has, I think would be very beneficial to the task force.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariano. Any other nominations?
I would just like to again thank everyone for applying and concur with Mariano on Dr. Ganapathy's application. I've worked with her in multiple settings, and I think that I think she would bring the right balance to this very small task force that we've created. I mean, one of the recommendations that we had was to not make it too large, right? Because it's a short period of time and it needs to be very nimble and very focused. And I think Dr. Ganapathy would be the ideal candidate for the at-large position as well. So just to concur.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I think again, we have 4 wonderful candidates, and I'm so appreciative and grateful for everyone's support of this committee, because I think, or the task force, because I think it's going to get us to a position where we need to be as a town and come together, which we haven't done recently in terms of this Waterfield lot. But I think, again, we've got great candidates. I agree. I think, first of all, having a woman on the committee or the task force would be a great addition. And I think having a diverse perspective and having, kind of a different perspective on the town, and I think that she'll bring a lot of really useful information and point of view. So I concur with that as well.
Yeah, I would agree with what everyone else has said. I think it balances out the committee quite nicely.
Okay, thank you. So there's only one nomination. It seems like people have had a chance to voice their views. I would say also that some diversity in gender and ethnicity and background is a good thing in a committee. It really has been shown to aid in decision-making and building consensus. And so I would support the doctor as well. So I'm going to call for a vote, a roll call vote. Mike?
Yes.
Mariano,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So thank you all. Again, this is something that we're trying to put together quickly and that will meet during August and into September to probably allow for some vacation times. We're looking to start meeting for the task force to start meeting the second full week in August. I think that's August 8th, if I'm not mistaken. On August 9th is the Monday there, that week of August 8th. And we'll reach out to you with an introduction with some information on the open meeting law, which is going to apply to this open public task force. The meetings will be likely all remote. They will be public meetings. And there's a law that when you're deliberating something and trying to decide something within a public meeting, that you don't discuss things with the people on the task force outside of the public meeting, that you save those discussions for the meetings. And then there's some other ins and outs, but our legal counsel has a short introductory packet that you guys can read to familiarize yourselves on that. And very happy to have you on this very important task force. And I'm really looking forward to it and hearing the discussions and moving forward so that we can get back on track with negotiations and we hope actually developing the Waterfield lot. So I thank everybody for being here. The other thing I would note is that there's been some discussion, or there was some discussion in our last full meeting about having an independent financial consultant work with the task force and to do an independent assessment or evaluation or review, or I forget what the official term is, financial review of the Civico proposal. So we'll be bringing that to the select board's next meeting, and that will be, we'll try to have that person in place to do that, to work with the committee, to work with the task force, and as at the first meeting, for the first meeting to be a sort of orientation meeting, or Marty Jones, who's our kind of resident expert on affordable housing, who's on the affordable housing, the Housing Partnership Board, which is focused on affordable housing. She and the town manager and I are trying to put together a briefing or orientation for the first meeting, which would include a financial component, as well as some background on the project. So it's not like you'll just be meeting in a vacuum. And the town manager has also mentioned that there would be town staff at each of the meetings. So for, to answer questions and to provide expert, sort of background guidance if you need it on any particular aspects of the project. So we'll be reaching out to you with more information, and also in that initial email, if all of you can get back to us with the days of the week that are easier for you to meet in the evening, most likely, whether it's Mondays and Thursdays, or, if any days are bad, and we'll try to put together, a schedule of meetings that work for everybody throughout August. And I think that covers everything, but if any of the select board members have anything further to mention, I would encourage you to go ahead and let me know. Anybody have anything further?
Susan, sorry, I did have my hand up, but
Yep.
I didn't know if we wanted to vote to also move forward the recommendations from the yes and no group as well. I mean, I assume it would be nice to just have the committee formed, kind of leaving this meeting, if that's part of the process. And the other kind of open piece of business is there going to be a staff member assigned to kind of facilitating the meeting process?
Yeah, good points. Lisa and I assumed perhaps that we would just have the two representatives from the campaign, the two different ballot committees come to the August 2nd meeting. Those, they have been nominated by their committees. It's Stephanie Zaremba for the yes vote committee and Paul Manganaro from the no vote committee. And as far as having the a chair to sort of run the meetings or facilitate the meetings, Heather Von Mering has indicated that she would respectfully decline the invitation that we made. And, you know, she and I have talked, and she's just concerned about it being very clear, you know, that this committee is independent and the town meeting and the moderator works for town meeting, and the town meeting is separate from the select board. And just to have some bright lines around that, she just would prefer not to be the facilitator for this. And then the other person I had lined up is also withdrawn. You know, it's summer. It just doesn't seem to be working out for those two people. And then we were, Lisa and I were discussing having a staff member just, you know, be the sort of facilitator, keep the conversation going, be sure that people have a chance to get their questions answered, that, you know, that everybody has a chance to talk. No one goes off on long tangents, that sort of thing. So we still need to work that out for the for August 2nd. So I thought it would just be better to have the two people come in and appoint them at that point, rather than, you know, again, to have a public process, just have them appear and just say a little bit about themselves, and then we would vote on their appointments. I'd rather do it that way.
Both Paul and Stephanie can attend.
Good, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I guess, Susan, the only thing is, if obviously, if for some reason those committees now decide to put a different name up, that we would have ample time to just review that as well.
I don't foresee that. I think that's, but okay.
I just.
I mean, anything could happen, I suppose, but yeah, thank you. We would
I think
make
the
every
biggest
effort
concern
to
would
have
be,
that happen.
that everybody sends me that information so I can make sure that you all get it.
Correct. It has to go into the Patty. Amy, Mariano, all set? Lisa, did you have anything that we needed to know about? Anything further?
No, that sounds about right. So we'll start working on getting people's schedules.
Okay. Okay, great. So I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mike?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.